Hello and welcome to Chabot News for April 9th, 2026. My name is Greg, and today we are covering the impacts of the war with Iran and the devastation of a petting zoo. In entertainment news, Bruce will tell us the latest box office info, and Kanye is in the news again. In sports news, Alexa will tell us all about the NBA vote and bananas. All that and more coming up in today's edition of Chabot News. President Trump and Japan's Prime Minister were set to announce a sweeping set of energy investments in the United States. A White House official told CNN that those investments include a major nuclear power project. President Trump spoke at a Senate dinner for the Prime Minister in Washington on March 20th.
On my visit to Tokyo last year, we reached a historic trade deal that will increase our cooperation on everything from energy to semiconductors and shipbuilding and pharmaceuticals. It was a big one of the biggest deals ever made. The United States is also encouraged to see the steps the Prime Minister is taking to expand her country's commitment to its own security and defense and buying a lot of our defense equipment, I'm happy to tell you.
Plans in the deal include a nuclear facility in Tennessee and Alabama, along with natural gas generation plants in Pennsylvania and Texas. It's a push for expanded domestic energy capacity as the Trump administration faces spiking global energy prices amid the war in Iran. While spring break travel ramps up, concerns continue to grow as gas prices across the country steadily increase. In Southern California, RV owners and towing businesses are especially feeling the punch at the pump. Jeff Nguyen has more on their challenges.
It's been complete chaos.
Efren Vega de Verona owns an online RV rental business that he says has been struggling over the past year. You have 19 RVs to rent out. How many are currently sitting in the yard?
We have 16.
He says following the immigration operations and the Trump administration's trade war, rental to people coming from out of the country dropped about 90%. Then came the war with Iran and rising gas prices.
We're seeing a big decline in our local customer base because of gas prices.
At this gas station in Sun Valley, the owner of the studio equipment truck paid $200 for diesel fuel, just shy of 28 gallons. Diesel also powers the tow trucks at Keystone Towing in Van Nuys. This business runs 24/7. General Manager Omar Quintanilla says the price of diesel has gone up about 60% over the past month.
Going from paying, $25,000 a month to over $30,000, that's a dramatic increase for us.
And he says his drivers don't have the luxury of being able to shop around.
We can't charge our customers for the fuel, so that's something that we have to take in consideration.
While Efren Vega de Verona says the uncertainty of fuel prices may mean the end of the road for his business.
After 9 years of having a 5-star reviewed motorhome rental business, might be time to call it a day.
Thanks, Jeff. According to AAA, more people are still expected to hit the road during spring break, despite higher prices at the pump. Meanwhile, oil prices dropped on Monday after President Donald Trump announced the U.S. would postpone further strikes on Iran as negotiations to end the war continue. The Iran war disruptions of shipping in Strait of Hormuz is raising big concerns for American farmers. A checkpoint in global fertilizer production and trade closure of the strait has led to surging prices and fear of supply, just as many farmers are beginning their spring planting season. Michael Yoshida joins us live to break it all down, including what this could mean for prices. Michael?
If we miss that window, we could have catastrophic crop failure.
Alarm bells sounding over disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and the potential impact to American farmers.
Worst case scenario, a grower may not be able to get a crop in the ground. And of course, that's going to lead to food security conversations.
The waterway is critical for transporting supplies needed to make fertilizers, as well as the finished products, including about half the world's supply of urea, a nitrogen fertilizer for crops like corn. Also, about a third of global exports of ammonia, key for most nitrogen fertilizers, and sulfur, another vital nutrient for crops. Shipments that have essentially stopped since the war.
With the closure of that strait, it's lifted prices here in the United States by several $100s per ton. So that immediately squeezes farmers' bottom line.
I've not seen this level of disruption before. Urea prices are up 50% since that Friday before.
According to the Fertilizer Institute, the U.S. imports about 35% of its fertilizer needs every year, with supplies often arriving just in time for use.
I'm told we still need to import about 25% of our need for March, April, May application.
Now, spiked costs and already low crop prices could lead to tough decisions.
We'll have to adapt either to plant a different crop that uses less fertilizer, or potentially reduce the amount of fertilizer that they use, which could have an impact on crop yields and ultimately prices.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
Thanks for that great report, Michael. It looks like the average consumer is going to get a double whammy this year at the pump and at the grocery store. Now we go over to Bruce with the entertainment.
Thanks, Greg. Kanye West may draw crowds, but he costs sponsorships. Two massive companies have pulled their sponsorships of the Wireless Festival in London after learning he would headline the event. Pepsi and Diageo are no longer involved. Diageo is the brewer that owns Guinness, Johnny Walker, and Smirnoff. West has a years-long history of making anti-Semitic remarks and other offensive remarks. In January, he took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize for them. The rapper states that he has autism. It's just been revealed that the UK government will not allow Kanye to come to Britain, and as a result, the festival has now been canceled. Super Mario and his friends are back on the big screen. Rick Dimagella has a look at the voices behind the characters, including a new voice role voiced by Glenn Powell.
There's a huge universe out there. With a lot of galaxies.
And a lot of characters. Mario, Luigi, and their friends and nemesis are back in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, with some new voices joining for the sequel.
Where's the troubled pipe?
Chris Pratt is back as Mario and Charlie Day as Luigi.
Who is this? Yoshi.
They are joined by new voice cast member Donald Glover as Yoshi.
Toad, pack our things.
Anya Taylor-Joy returns as Princess Peach, along with Keegan-Michael Key as Toad.
Your king has returned!
On the villain side, Jack Black is back as the voice of Bowser, joined by Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr.
Princess Rosalina, you're coming with me!
New to the animated adventure is the cosmically powered character Rosalina, voiced by Brie Larson.
It's really special.
A surprise casting announcement dropped ahead of the movie's premiere when Universal revealed Glenn Powell is voicing Nintendo's Fox McCloud in the film.
Let's go!
Let's go!
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Thanks for that wonderful report, Rick. The Super Mario Galaxy movie has earned an estimated $190 million in its first 5 days in the domestic theaters. That's it for this week's entertainment news. Now back to you, Greg.
Thanks, Bruce. Iconic labor leader Cesar Chavez has been accused of decades of sexual abuse. The allegations were detailed in a New York Times investigative report. According to the Times, Chavez allegedly abused and molested multiple women over the course of decades, including some underage girls. One of the alleged victims was legendary activist Dolores Huerta, who co-founded the United Farm Workers Union with Chavez. The Times says it interviewed more than 60 people regarding the allegations and used union records, emails, and other documents to corroborate aspect of the accounts. In a statement after the release of the report, Huerta said she had 2 sexual encounters with Chavez, once against her will, and once when she said she was pressured. Both resulted in pregnancies. CNN has not independently verified the allegations. Chavez died in 1993. In a statement, the Chavez family told the Times that allegations were, quote, deeply painful to our family. They said they honor the voices of those who feel unheard and who report sexual misconduct. The Cesar Chavez Foundation says it is working with leaders in the farm worker movement to be responsive to the allegations, people who may have been harmed by his actions. The Trump administration has filed a new multi-billion-dollar lawsuit against Harvard University. It's alleging the Ivy League school is in violation of civil rights law and has failed to protect Jewish and Israeli students from discrimination. It is asking a federal judge to require the school to pay back millions in grant payments and halt the $2.5 billion in existing grants. The complaint is the latest in a nearly year-long fight with Harvard University. High-levels talks toward a settlement have failed to produce a resolution. Harvard said in a statement, the lawsuit represents yet another pretextual and retaliatory action by the administration for refusing to turn over control of Harvard to the federal government. Now we go to Alexa with sports news this week.
Thanks, Greg. The National Basketball Association might be getting a little larger. According to a report from ESPN, the NBA's Board of Governors could be soon voting on whether to add teams in Seattle and Las Vegas for the 2028-29 season. Any additional teams to the league need the vote of at least 23 of the 30 governors. The team has reportedly expected to be worth between $7 and $10 billion. If Seattle gets the nod, that would mark basketball's return to the city after the Supersonics left in 2008 and relocated to Oklahoma City and became the Thunder. This next story is bananas, literally. On the night of March 19th at the New Orleans Superdome, 81-year-old Rob Harrelson became the oldest person to play for the Savannah Bananas. He struck out, but anyone who has been to a Bananas game knows it's not about who wins or loses. The baseball team combines dancing, tricks, and other unique entertainment with the game itself. Harrelson came from a small town in Missouri. Fans got to watch because he's tried out for it before. 60,000 fans got to watch the player they called Old Man Rob Harrelson ride his yellow bike to home plate and take a few swings. That is it for sports news this week. Now back to you, Greg.
Thanks, Alexa. Cuba is facing a nationwide power blackouts that are more severe than usual as Trump's administration has imposed an oil embargo, tightened its grip on the island nation. CNN's Patrick Ottman has more.
Cuba is once again in an island-wide blackout. Something that has happened frequently enough over the years. This time feels different because it is the first time since an oil embargo put in place by the Trump administration has led or contributed to this kind of island-wide blackout affecting 10 million people at the moment. The Cuban government says they are working to restore power. The question is, can they? Because according to their own admission, no oil has come in for 3 months now. We have seen longer and longer blackouts as this crisis has developed. You know, where I live, sometimes it gets up to 20 hours in the last several days. We've seen people going out at night to protest, banging pots and pans. In one small town in the east of Cuba, people actually attacked the Communist Party headquarters over the weekend, tried to burn down the headquarters before police came in and firing shots in the air, broke up that protest. But people are on edge here. People are wondering if the government can hold on. Certainly the Trump administration has said that they believe that the government here is in its final hours and that they should make a deal with the U.S. to allow some of that flow of oil. But the Trump administration is calling on the government here to make major concessions. No sign that that would take place, and whether or not they could do it in time. Patrick Ottman, CNN, Havana.
Unfortunately, with oil prices on a drastic rise, get ready for extremely high prices at the pump. So if you plan on traveling, plan accordingly. Now we go to Manny for this week's Top 5.
Thanks, Greg. Before we get to my top 5 Bay Area sports legends, here are some honorable mentions. Now, these guys are significant to the Bay Area teams, but not enough to crack my top 5. These players are Tim Brown of the Oakland Raiders, Chris Mullin of the Warriors, Vida Blue of both the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants, and Dave Dravecky of the SF Giants. Now, my top 5 begins with the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays. In his time, Mays struck fear in his opponents as a 5-tool player. For those that may not know, that means he was a complete player. In 1979, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, having hit 660 home runs, 3,293 hits, and 339 stolen bases. Sadly, Willie passed away in 2024. In the 4th spot is the definition of electric, the all-time leader in stolen bases, runs scored, and swagger. Rickey Henderson. Rickey didn't just play baseball, he ignited it. Every at-bat was a threat, every single turned into a double, and every moment was unforgettable. Number 3 is the man who revolutionized the game of basketball, Stephen Curry. He didn't just become the greatest shooter of all time, he reshaped how the entire sport is played. Steph turned impossible shots into routine highlights and built a dynasty while doing it. At number 2, we've got a duo so iconic they can't be separated. The connection between Joe Montana and Jerry Rice changed the NFL forever. Montana, cool under pressure and mastered the clutch moment. Rice, the most precise, hardworking, and unstoppable receiver the league has ever seen. Together, they formed an unstoppable force that defined an era of greatness. Coming at number 1 is a legend whose name is synonymous with power, precision, and pure dominance. A 7-time MVP, a record-shattering force at the plate, and one of the most feared baseball hitters in baseball history. Barry Lamar Bonds. Love him or debate him, there's no denying his impact on the game. Barry remains the only player in baseball history with 500 home runs and 500 stolen bases. To put that in perspective, no other player in MLB even has 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases. His combination of skill, discipline, and baseball IQ places him firmly at the top of my list. These 5 athletes didn't just excel, they transformed their sports, redefined greatness, and left legacies that continue to inspire. This is my top 5, who's on yours? I'm Manny Torres, now back to you, Greg.
And finally, this week's Operation Barbecue is firing up the smoker in Kankakee County, Illinois. The organization is providing hot meals as communities try to recover from a severe tornado. Noel Brennan reports.
When Mother Nature brings her worst.
All right, this one's good.
People like Larry Mush bring their best.
Here's a sausage.
He's a volunteer cook with Operation Barbecue Relief.
It's just something I can do. I'm not good with a chainsaw. I'm not good in tarping a roof. I can cook food.
The nonprofit is on the ground in Aroma Park.
Thank you guys so much.
Feeding people impacted by last Tuesday's EF3 tornado.
We are thankful because we are alive.
People like Oscar Garcia, whose home was badly damaged.
I'm really thankful for all the help we can get around here. So,
in Aroma Park, the helpers are helping each other too.
Barbecue, protein, can't beat it. This is the best eating you can have in a disaster.
Ryan Keith is taking a lunch break with fellow volunteers from Team Rubicon.
And we're here now cleaning up all those trees that are on the ground or still leaning on houses, whatever the case may be, when people don't have insurance and they don't have a way to take care of it themselves.
It's a hot meal and then back to work in the cold.
It was worse cooking yesterday in the wind than it is today.
Operation Barbecue Relief.
Thank you.
Served up 200 free meals on Monday.
This one's good too.
Larry isn't just cooking for strangers, but his neighbors in Indiana.
And last night we were over in Lake Village bringing food over to those people because that's 20 minutes from home.
Disaster always brings out the helpers.
Yes, we're all volunteers.
The worst in Mother Nature, but the best in humanity.
Hopefully give them a little hope.
Thanks for that report, Noel. Operations Barbecue has served more than 14 million meals since 2011. We sent our reporter Chris Dorr out to ask Chabot students where their favorite barbecue food is.
My favorite barbecued food is the Lay's, the chips. They're pretty good.
I like barbecue chicken.
Texas Roadhouse.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. It sounds like everyone has their own favorites. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making the production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/Chabot TV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 on Comcast for more Chabot TV.